I'd rather be dead than live like this." That's what Sean Milliken said, lying in his bed, weighing over 900 pounds, unable to do anything for himself. His mother, Renee, was right there beside him, not helping him get better, but making things worse. Every time Sean tried to take responsibility for his health, she had an excuse, a reason why things couldn't change, or a meal that kept him stuck right where he was. She claimed she wanted the best for him, but her actions told a different story. Instead of pushing him to get help, she kept feeding him the same way she always had. Instead of encouraging him to move, she let him stay trapped. It was one of the most heartbreaking examples of a parent hurting their own child, not out of hate, but out of fear, guilt, and control. Sean's story is just one example of parents on My 600-Pound Life who did more harm than good. The people on this show don't get to 600, 700, or even 900 pounds, all on their own. Their struggles with food often start at home, shaped by parents who either ignored the problem or made it worse, whether by overfeeding, refusing to set limits, or even sabotaging their weight loss. Some of these parents became their child's biggest obstacle. In this video, we're going to look at 5 of the worst parents ever featured on My 600-Pound Life. These are the moms and dads who, instead of helping their kids, made their journey even harder. And we're starting with one of the most tragic cases, Sean Milliken and his mother, Renee. Sean Milliken's story is one of the most heartbreaking in My 600-Pound Life history. Weighing over 900 pounds, he was completely dependent on his mother, Renee, for everything. But instead of helping him get better, she kept him stuck in the same cycle that got him to that size in the first place. Sean's weight issues started young. He had a tough childhood, dealing with an abusive father who made him turn to food for comfort. When his parents divorced, he and his mom became inseparable. Renee took care of him, but instead of setting limits, she overindulged him. Food became the way she showed love, and over time, Sean's weight spiraled out of control. By the time he appeared on My 600-Pound Life, Sean was completely bedridden, struggling to breathe, and totally reliant on his mother. And while Renee said she wanted him to lose weight, her actions told a different story. She constantly made excuses for why things couldn't change. If Sean struggled to follow Dr. Now's diet, she'd blame the stress. If he got upset, she'd bring him more food to calm him down. Even when he was in the hospital trying to get his life back, she still enabled him, sneaking in unhealthy food and making him doubt himself. Dr. Now saw it right away. He told Sean that if he wanted to survive, he needed to break free from his mother's control. But Sean couldn't do it. His entire life had been shaped by his mother's care, and even though it was harming him, it was all he knew. Tragically, Sean never got the happy ending he hoped for. After his mother passed away, he struggled even more, and in 2019, he died at just 29 years old. His story is a heartbreaking reminder that sometimes the people who love us the most can also do the most damage. Margaret's story on My 600-Pound Life wasn't just about her battle with food, it was about her complicated relationship with her mother, Millie. Like many people on the show, Margaret didn't gain all her weight overnight. Her struggle started in childhood, where food became both a comfort and a coping mechanism. But the biggest problem? Her mother was the one feeding the addiction. Millie had always been overprotective. She took care of Margaret as if she were still a little girl, doing everything for her, even when it was hurting her. Instead of helping Margaret become independent, she kept her dependent. And the biggest way she did that? With food. By the time Margaret reached 600 pounds, she could barely move on her own. She relied on her mother for everything, getting dressed, preparing meals, even cleaning herself. And while Millie claimed she wanted Margaret to lose weight, she couldn't stop treating her like a helpless child. If Margaret asked for fast food, Millie got it for her. If she struggled with her diet, Millie would say, "It's okay, baby, we'll try again tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. When they met Dr. Now, he saw right away that Millie was part of the problem. He confronted her, telling her that if she really wanted her daughter to change, she had to stop enabling her. But Millie didn't take it well. She got defensive, insisting that she was only helping. The truth was, she was afraid. If Margaret lost weight, she might not need her anymore, and Millie didn't know how to handle that. Margaret, on the other hand, was desperate to change. She knew her mother's love came from a good place, but it was hurting her. She worked hard, followed Dr. Now's plan, and eventually started losing weight. But it wasn't until she set boundaries with her mother that she really began to take control of her life. Her story is proof that sometimes the biggest battle isn't just against food, it's against the people who love us too much to let us go. If there's one story on my 600-pound life that had people shaking their heads, it's the Asante brothers. Stephen and Justin Asante weren't just struggling with their weight, they were fighting with each other, with Dr. Now, and most of all, with their father. Their father, who was supposed to guide them toward a healthier life, ended up enabling their worst behaviors instead. Stephen, the older brother, was the biggest problem. He was manipulative, rude, and threw tantrums like a child when he didn't get what he wanted. He constantly cheated on his diet, demanded junk food, and even faked injuries to get pain medication. Justin, on the other hand, was more reserved, but he had also developed an unhealthy relationship with food. Their father, instead of setting rules and holding them accountable, gave in to whatever Stephen wanted, especially when it came to food. Dr. Now tried to warn their father that Stephen was using him, but it didn't seem to sink in. Instead of standing firm and saying no, their dad continued to buy fast food, making excuse after excuse. He said he didn't want to upset Stephen and that it was just easier to give him what he wanted. But all that did was keep Stephen trapped in his self-destructive habits. At one point, things got so bad that Justin had to distance himself from both his father and his brother just to focus on his own health. He realized that if he wanted to lose weight, he needed to get away from the toxic environment his father allowed. While Justin eventually made progress, Stephen continued to spiral, proving that without real support and tough love, change is nearly impossible. The Asante brothers' story is one of the most dramatic in my 600-pound life history, but at the heart of it is a simple truth. Sometimes, parents think they're helping when they're really making things worse. Their father thought he was taking care of them, but all he did was enable their worst habits, leaving both of his sons struggling in different ways. Christina Phillips was one of the most memorable success stories on my 600-pound life, but her journey wasn't just about losing weight. It was about breaking free from the toxic relationship she had with her mother. At her heaviest, Christina weighed over 700 pounds, completely dependent on her family for everything. But the biggest obstacle standing in her way? Her own mother? From the outside, Christina's mom seemed like she wanted to help. She was always by her side, taking care of her, making sure she had what she needed. But in reality, she was one of the main reasons Christina had gained so much weight in the first place. She constantly overfed her daughter, using food as a way to keep Christina under her control. The more Christina ate, the more she relied on her mom for everything: mobility, support, and even basic care. When Christina finally decided to turn her life around and seek help from Dr. Now, her mother wasn't as supportive as she pretended to be. At every step, she tried to hold Christina back. She would say things like, "You don't need to change for anyone," or "You'll always be my baby no matter what." While those words might sound loving, they were really just ways to keep Christina from becoming independent. Dr. Now quickly noticed the problem. He told Christina that if she wanted to succeed, she had to set boundaries with her mother. But that was easier said than done. Christina had spent her entire life being told that she couldn't function without her mom. Breaking away wasn't just about losing weight, it was about learning to believe in herself. Despite her mother's resistance, Christina fought to take control of her life. She followed Dr. Now's plan, worked hard, and ended up losing over 500 pounds. But the most important part of her transformation wasn't just the weight loss, it was realizing that she didn't need her mother's approval to be happy. Her story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the people who claim to love us the most can be the ones holding us back. And the only way to truly move forward is to put ourselves first, no matter how hard it may be. Most of the time on my 600-pound life, it's the parents enabling their children. But in Pauline Potter's case, it was the other way around. She was the one struggling with extreme obesity, and the person suffering because of it was her son, Dylan. Pauline made headlines before even appearing on the show. She once claimed to be the world's heaviest living woman at over 600 pounds. But instead of seeking real help, she used her condition for attention, even giving interviews about her weight before she finally decided to join my 600-pound life. The problem? She didn't really want to change. She just wanted everyone around her, including her son, to keep taking care of her. Dylan was put in an impossible position. He was just a young man, trying to live his life, but instead, he was forced to be his mother's full-time caregiver. He cooked for her, cleaned up after her, and even helped her with basic tasks like getting out of bed. Instead of acting like a parent, Pauline relied on Dylan as if he were the adult. And it wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. Pauline constantly guilt-tripped Dylan, making him feel like it was his job to take care of her, no matter how much it drained him. When they met Dr. Now, he immediately saw the problem. Pauline acted as if she was committed to losing weight, but she refused to follow instructions. She cheated on her diet, made excuses, and argued with Dr. Now at every turn. But the worst part? She expected Dylan to keep enabling her. When he tried to push back, she acted like he was abandoning her, even though all he wanted was for her to get better. Dylan's breaking point came when he realized that no matter how much he sacrificed, it was never going to be enough. He had to make a choice: keep letting his mother control his life, or finally step away and focus on himself. In the end, Dylan chose to put himself first, and it was one of the best decisions he could have made. Pauline's story is a reminder that enabling doesn't just happen between parents and children. It can go both ways. And sometimes, the best thing we can do for someone we love is to stop letting them drag us down with them. When we talk about extreme obesity, we often focus on diet, exercise, and medical treatments. But one of the biggest factors in why people reach 600, 700, or even 900 pounds is emotional, especially when it comes to family. Many of the people on my 600-pound life didn't just develop unhealthy eating habits on their own. Their relationships, especially with their parents, played a huge role in their struggles. One of the biggest reasons parents enable their children's weight issues is guilt. Some parents, like Margaret's mom Millie, feel bad about past mistakes, so they try to make up for it by giving their children whatever they want, including food. Others, like Christina's mom, struggle with the idea of their child becoming independent. They've spent years taking care of them, and if that suddenly changes, they don't know where they fit in anymore. Then there are parents like Sean's mother, Renee, who convince themselves that they're helping when they're actually hurting. They see their child in pain and want to provide comfort, but instead of real help, they turn to the easiest thing: food. Over time, this creates a dangerous cycle where food replaces emotional support, and breaking free from it feels impossible. In the end, the biggest challenge for these patients isn't just losing weight, it's learning to set boundaries, stand up for themselves, and, in many cases, step away from toxic relationships. Because without fixing the emotional side, no amount of dieting will ever be enough. Enabling doesn't just keep someone stuck, it actively makes their life worse. On my 600-pound life, we've seen firsthand how toxic family dynamics can lead to devastating consequences. Parents who think they're helping by providing food or avoiding conflict are actually making things much worse in the long run. The most obvious consequence is the physical toll. People like Sean Milliken and Pauline Potter became completely bedridden because their families kept feeding their addiction instead of pushing them to change. And when obesity reaches that level, it leads to serious health problems, diabetes, heart disease, and in many cases, early death. But the emotional impact is just as bad. Many of the people on the show struggle with self-worth, depression, and anxiety, all made worse by the fact that they feel trapped by their own families. The sad truth is, sometimes the people who claim to love us the most are the ones holding us back. Breaking free from enabling isn't easy, but it's necessary. For the people on my 600-pound life, real change only happens when they set boundaries and take control of their own lives. That means saying no to toxic family dynamics, seeking therapy, and in some cases, walking away from relationships that are doing more harm than good. Dr. Now always tells his patients the truth. No one else can do this for them. Parents, children, or partners may offer support, but real change has to come from within. And the ones who succeed, they're the ones who finally put themselves first. The stories from my 600-pound life show just how damaging enabling parents can be. Whether out of guilt, control, or fear of change, these parents kept their children stuck in unhealthy cycles instead of pushing them toward real progress. But as we've seen, true transformation only happens when people take control of their own lives, even if it means stepping away from toxic relationships. What do you think about these stories? Have you seen other cases of enabling on my 600-pound life? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content.